Okay.
I'm excited about tonight's
Me too.
Conversation. So thank you for anyone that's tuning in. We're talking about the acts of submission. You can't be the king in the house, sis. Oh, do anybody know who said that? You can't. Did she say you can't be the king in the house?
You can't be the king
in the household.
But T.I.'s the one that said he's the king of the South. So I mean, I don't, everybody.
Yeah,
maybe the South is his house.
You could be the queen of your house. I don't want to be the king. Like,
no interest.
I personally don't. I don't want to be the king.
No interest.
Yeah, I want to be the king.
I want to be the queen.
Go ahead, Lex. Open us up to this conversation.
Hey, everybody. It is Lexi, your expert in evolution with the Legacy Podcast. We are so glad to be back here with my beautiful co-hosts.
Hey, everybody. It's me, Jasmine, your divine diva.
What's up, y'all? It's Kia, your favorite inspirationalist.
So tonight's episode, as you mentioned, Kia, is about the act of submission.
The acts.
Are we acting like this?
The act of submission.
Are we really submitting?
The act of submission.
We're going to see. There's been a lot of controversy about this conversation.
It's
I'm
been a
going
lot.
to see where you ladies stand on the act of submission.
So one thing I want to read before we get started, it says, wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. Right, your own husband, not nobody else's. For the husband is the head of the wife, as also Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, just as the church is subject to Christ, so let wives be to their own husbands in everything. Then it says, husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her, that he might sanctify and cleanse her with the washing of water by the word, that he might present her to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she should be holy and without blemish. That's Ephesians 5:22-27. So, did you guys hear the Breakfast Club conversation with Fantasia?
I heard a little bit. Did you? I caught the husband side of it.
All right,
so this is like going to be the first time me hearing sis.
All right, so we got to play this piece.
Yeah,
hold on, let me turn my music up.
We're going to recap the interview, at least a part of it, a snippet of it that Fantasia had on the Breakfast Club. So anybody who's tuned in, if you've seen it, let us know if you not seen it and heard it if you watch it on YouTube.
Ready?
Yeah.
Hey, talk when we pray.
Real talk.
You should get up a little earlier than that so you get to work on time.
See how she keep trying to come. She coming for you. But no, real talk. I salute that. Yeah, because we need more of that. You know what I mean? We need more men to stand up and lead the way. Most women are trying to be the leader. That's why you can't find a man. You can't be the king in the house. Fall back and be the queen and let your man lead the way. So I salute you for that.
What does that mean? You can't be a leader? Because a lot of women look at that like, no, I can lead in my household. I can do this in my household. What does that mean?
That's not how it's supposed to be, and that's why we bump heads. And I feel like it's a generational thing. And we can go real deep on that. And I don't need to start that, but it's a generational curse and how society have placed our men.
All right. So she is catching all kinds of slack, Fantasia. I love me some Fantasia.
I do too.
I really do.
I love her.
I love her story.
Fantasia. I love Fantasia.
Oh.
I do.
So let me just real quick highlight some of the Twitter comments that have happened. Fantasia out here sounding real pick-me-ish. Women can't find a man because they out here being men because they want to lead, ? Girl, did you ask your husband to leave the house this morning? Fantasia has to be submissive to a man. She just learned how to read 3 years ago. She would want to be humble. But here in New Orleans, the illiterate ones are the loudest. So I guess someone needs her testimony.
That was low blow.
That was a low blow.
Yeah, stick to music and acting in Jesus' name. She married her husband within 3 weeks. Did y'all know that? That she met and married her husband within 3 weeks.
I mean, well, clearly it's working for them.
Yeah. So she said that at the time, so that's a little backstory that they talked about on the Breakfast Club too. At the time, she had been fasting for about 8 months, just trying to find herself. She knew she had been in bad relationships, so trying to center herself. And at the end of that time, she ended up meeting this man of hers, Kendall, I think his name is, and they ended up getting married in 3 weeks.
Okay.
So,
what has it been? 5 years now, I think? Did they just celebrate their 5th year anniversary or something?
I didn't know it was that long, but maybe it might have been. It could have been. I think it had. Yeah,
it 5 years.
Yeah, it has been.
I mean, they seem really stable and I mean, it's work for them.
Right.
It's worked for them. He also put up a video, and we'll put that in that link in there.
His video.
His video was amazing. So Musa and I had a conversation about it, but his video essentially was kind of the male's perspective
on submission.
So she's saying, as women, we have to learn how to submit, right? We have to act in the submissive role.
Yeah.
And he's saying, as women, submission is a gift. And you have to earn it.
Yeah.
So while he's earning it, we do it naturally. So I need y'all take on this stuff.
But he was also making it seem like even with the comment that somebody said, like, oh, so did you ask your husband, can you leave? He makes it clear, like, it's not that type of submission. Like, I'm not looking to control her. I'm not looking to like tell her what she can and can't do. So I thought that was really good for him to really clarify what it is. So clearly some women only heard her part and didn't catch his part to hear exactly what they're saying together. So,
But okay, so one thing that I noticed that she did is one thing she was speaking off of the top. And when you're speaking off the top, sometimes you can generalize things and people can take that the wrong way. She said something like women, like all women. I forget what she said, but it was a very general statement that we don't let the men lead or something like that. And that's not the
Women
case.
don't let men lead. That's why we can't find a man.
That's why we can't find a man. Yeah. So that was a very general statement. And I believe it is true for some women, but not all women. So that's how I like how her husband came in and he was trying to really expand and clarify and open up the conversation more, because it is a conversation that we should have a dialogue about. But I do feel that some people, when you look up the word, submission, or when you think about it, some people think of it as a relinquishment of control.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So me being married, I do submit to my husband. And I think it's a vice versa thing. It's a submission of him and a submission of me.
I think it works both ways.
To him, it works both ways. Submission is not just, okay, I'm the wife, I do it all the time. But to me, it is a gift that I do give to my husband, and it is a right that he has earned. And it's a beautiful thing to have a king to submit to, right?
Absolutely.
That doesn't take away a woman's leadership. That doesn't take her off of her throne. I think really you should sit higher when you do submit to the king. He sees things that the queen may not see, as the queen sees things that the king may not see, or she feels things that the king may not see. I can't remember specifically what her husband said, but anybody who listened to that, and if they're still coming for her, then they have a problem. I mean, because he expanded on it. I was like, dang, she got a really good. You ain't got no man like she got.
Right. So
clearly not, sis, because you still mad at what she said.
So one of the things he said that kind of stuck out the most to me was when he made the comment, like you guys said, about how he's not trying to control her.
Right.
But the other thing that he said is he leads by example.
Yep.
He said, I sit at the feet of the Father.
Exactly.
And he pours into me. And so when she sees, that, one thing about it from a spiritual perspective, and biblical perspective, when you, and this literally goes in a lot of walks of life, from leadership at work, leadership in your house, leadership at church.
Right.
When you see someone operating under the Spirit of God, under the will of God, or you see them operating in a certain way, you cannot help but gravitate.
To that.
You can't help. Like, think about great bosses or great leaders that you had, teachers, friends, parents, everything.
Everybody.
When you see them, you be like,
oh my God,
you hanging on to every word they say.
Exactly.
And so when he said, I sit at the feet of the Father and he pours into me, and so she sees this.
Correct. Why wouldn't she want to
submit
or be a part of it? She'd be a fool not to.
But like you said, it is sometimes a control thing, because for years, I think we've battled with the conversation around submission. Now, the one thing she did say that I think was also taken out of context was that she feels like it's generational. She said she feels like, so what I would say is, she even called it a generational curse.
She did.
Correct.
And so to two types of the generations, the age generation and then the what you saw kind of coming down as you were growing up generation, right? And so it becomes a conversation that we really just need to have to kind of diminish and get away with the stigma of it. Yeah. So, but do you guys think that it could be generational? Do you think it's like, what do you think gets women all hype and in an uproar when they hear you need to submit?
Again, it goes back to the relinquishment of control,
right.
the giving up of rights. I think we have taken the word out of context, and some people have actually abused the word. And I was about to say, you know, that act has been abused. So rightfully so, I can understand people being defensive behind it and not wanting to go forward with it because it has been abused, and many of us women have submitted to the wrong man.
So that's
So that was not ordained to be our king.
That's it.
That's
so I think that's wrong. A lot of it is that we have come across men who have abused the submission part.
They have.
To whereas though it was, I want to take her control and I want to do as I say and not as I do. In those types of situations. And I also think that it is something that is kind of passed down from generation to generation. Like if you're you see your mom in a relationship with the man and yet he wants to be really controlling, doesn't want her to do anything. She's cooking, she's cleaning, he just sitting up here with his feet on the couch and stuff. You thinking if anything, like, you know what? That's not the life that I want. No man is going to control me. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be different than my mom. And you keep that cycle going. And then you with your girlfriends and you and your girlfriends like, well, ain't no man going to do me like that. I can do what I want when I want. I'm not doing that. And then your kids see you doing that as little girls. They continue to do that. So I think that is something that is kind of passed down.
We got some menses. And
for the guys who are tuning into the live, if you have seen the interview with Fantasia on The Breakfast Club, or if you've seen the video that her and her husband did, we're talking about acts of submission, and that's regardless if you're married, you're dating, you're single. Chime into the conversation because we want to hear what your thoughts are on it.
Absolutely.
Do black women not know how to submit? Are some of us too submissive? Because some women to me give everything, and
and that's like
you gotta figure out that balance.
And that's why, because one thing a man, the right. Kid, you said it. Jazz, you said it. Some women are submitting to the wrong women. Some women submitting to the wrong men. Some men are trying to lead the wrong women.
Right.
It's a lot happening. And when it comes to that, if you are the type of woman that's just like, here's all of me, that man would be like, babe, hold on, wait.
He should be.
He should be telling you to time out and sit down.
I need you to.
for yourself.
Babe, thank you. But can you eat a little bit, right?
Did you eat
today, girl?
Yeah.
Thanks for cooking dinner. You sit down, I'll make your plate.
Yeah.
So what?
We have a comment.
I told Musa to chime in.
That was actually
talking
good.
about
So
it.
we have Musa, which is,
hey
man. So his comment is, I think that most of the negative comments are coming from single people.
Some of them.
Probably.
That's not necessarily true. I can't. That's a generalization too. I mean, how do we know that? Because some women who are married are like, listen, I'm not submitting.
Correct.
I run this house.
Because they see grandma and mama say the same thing.
I bring in the money. And, when you get in a relationship with someone, there's a lot of co-creating. There is a lot of, give and take in a relationship. Right. And that comes to me with submission. But biblically, it does say that we're supposed to submit to our husbands.
To our husbands.
Who's sitting at the, at the feet of the Father. There's wisdom that come through men.
Remember that age-old, I was explaining this to Camille, and we were talking about it, like why men do not wear hats indoors and women can. So it started in church, really, and it was out of respect. And so the thought was men are to remove their hats when they come in church because God speaks directly to them, to the head. And women can keep their hats covered because, again, not that you don't need to be in your word, not that you don't know anything, not that you don't need to do anything, but the man is kind of bringing that back to you. That was supposed to be. Oh,
and Nisha makes a good point. She said, I think it's a mixture, but I think submission comes naturally when the other person is doing his job. It does, because some people will biblically submit to, I believe, the wrong person when you cannot even give your word and understand that this is somebody that I want to submit to. I mean, it's almost, you're just inclined to do certain things because I believe we all come from God. So some things